Welcome back to Ravenheart, International Fantastic Film Festival 2024. I'm joined by the makers of CONUNDRUM, director Jostein Braa Leland, and chief animator Espen Meling Sele. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you so much.
So, CONUNDRUM, it's a train of thought film on the creative process. And
Yes.
speaking of creative process, could you tell me more about the creative process behind this
Yes,
film?
and it's actually I know Conundrum. Like when you watch it, it can seem very simple, but it's a very big storytelling exercise, really. Because me and Espen, we've been working together for a long time, and I always try to pitch him a lot of stuff. And usually it's in this format. I just rant on like this, as I did in Conundrum. But the more I thought about it, the more it seemed to me that the story that I wanted to tell her, it's more like an abstraction, and it didn't really suit itself for the traditional, scenes and voice actors. But by just telling the idea like this, it became both more funny, but you also were able to present actually the full movie in this way. So for me, that's why we ended up making it, because when just from a storytelling standpoint, I felt like this was a very unique way of telling a story, and this was the story to tell in this unique way.
Because it's kind of like the pitch goes into the pitch, goes into the pitch.
Yeah,
goes
right.
into
It's
the
it's
pitch.
it's a run-on sentence. It's a voice message in the middle of the night. This is some great idea I have, like most movies are conceived. But instead of it being like a traditional movie that you want to tell, it's more about the concept. And this was it turned out that we could show the concept in this way and make it more accessible.
Yeah. The dialogue seems very improvised. Was it improvised or?
Yes, it is actually very improvised. We've done 2 takes of the movie. The first one I sent to Espen, and we did some corrections, and the other one is exactly as you hear it here. It's just from beginning to end, the whole thing. I think the thing that will be underappreciated, that I appreciate a lot, is the specific details that go into the monologue, which translates very well to film, which is not as easy as it would seem it would be. So it's not just a technically run-on one. It's trying to envision the movie as it's supposed to be seen on the screen and just telling that out loud.
You as the chief animator, how was it to actually put this all together?
Yeah, I think it was very entertaining. And the first thing that made it so much fun to do is because Jostein did have a idea. He had literally had a script for all of this, and then he told me about it. And I told him, like, as he was telling it, I felt like, this is the way he is telling it is interesting. So I said, when you go home, and this was also our last hurrah together. He was moving to Kristiansand. We had lived in Oslo together, and there was almost like a bit of a melancholic vibe, at least for me. And I said, just like, tell the film again on a voice note and send it to me. And yeah, it is the second take, because I did tell him, I said, Jostein, are you reading from a script? And he admitted to doing so. So he did another take, and then he sent me the final one, which I told him, just like relax and then do it again. But the only thing that was missing from it, apart from there being a scene 1, scene 2, and scene 3, the one with the scientist, the one with the kids, and then finally the one with the grandmother, it was something like tying them together. Obviously it's Jostein, so the film, to me at least, is a lot about the conundrum is about the more you know about it, the less you know. Jostein was going away, having a child, getting a new life, so I couldn't help but project, and the film is one big projection. And I think it kind of fits with Jostein's idea of the conundrum, that a projection is never the whole truth. It's just one point you see. I can never really know what's inside Jostein's head. Luckily, we sometimes get these kind of out of it, and we can look into his head and see what's going on and animate it. But usually we do not know what's going on inside other people's heads, and therefore this film is an attempt to kind of make sense of something that seemingly doesn't make sense.
Yeah. So kind of like we get a glimpse into your mind on this film.
Yeah, and it's a bizarre look into it as well. So I think that's why it lends itself very well to the visuals of animation, because as soon as you kind of boil it down, you show these characters instead of having to visualize them, then suddenly it seems more concrete than it is, and you can make a very bizarre idea actually understandable and relatable by just doing these few tricks.
There is something that is a bit lost in translation, and it's very entertaining with your Norwegian, and that's actually where you're from, because I have very specific dialect. So when you have screened that film abroad, how was the reaction been? Have people got the jokes, got the context, the localized context here?
Yeah, I was very worried about it. My experience so far is that it does translate. I'm not sure myself how it does, because I think too that the language and the way it's delivered and the words we use and what it means in Norwegian is very important to kind of like the funny moments of the film. But I do get the feedback that people understand at least some of it during subtitles as well.
Even though they go by really fast.
Yeah, they go, but that's a creative choice as well, right?
Totally.
You have to decide. Do you summarize what's being said there, or do you kind of translate the run-on sentence? And I felt that was important to keep the run-on sentence going in the subtitles as well.
Do you read or watch? You have to choose.
So there was no was there any plans of getting a hold of an English actor to dub this and make an English version of the script?
I don't think. I think as soon as we took that second take, I don't think there is any other audio we could have used for that movie, because as soon as that was down and he started working on it as well, the more I heard it, the more I realized that this is, because there's so much nuance that I mean it's probably subjective, and I think maybe if you made an English version, people wouldn't mind. But me as a director and the connection I have with the story, I realize that a lot of these small connections I have are in the details, and the details will get lost anyway in translation, I think.
Of course. You got this state of consciousness altogether. How did you further proceed with making this short?
Well, that's the thing about when it comes to making an animation film. It's a series of shots and a lot of elements that you can have to put together. But when you have a voice clip that you decide this is the start, this is the end, it's nice. Then you have the timing, like you have everything that needs to be, and the good thing, and maybe the secret to a lot of the success, to the reason why I at least find this clip so enchanting, is because Jostein does moonlight as a rap artist.
Right.
And,
So that explains there is a certain rhythmical flow.
There is a rhythmical flow. There is a consciousness to delivery. There is, of course, yes.
And there is this idea that like something that even though when Jostein and I agree on something that's good, then it's good. Then we don't need to overthink it. And we have this idea that as long as you can pitch it and it sounds good while you pitch it, and it doesn't sound boring while you pitch it, then this is pretty entertaining. And we not to reveal anything too soon, but we are already interested in doing more of this, where if the timing of the kind of vocal delivery is good, if that can sustain something by itself, then it's just a matter of adding stuff on top of it to kind of finalize it.
Yeah, because the narration also feels kind of like the film music. It's also replacing the film music, but also again the rhythm.
Yeah, there's no space for much else, because like the film, without spoiling again, at the end you finally get a little room to breathe, and you finally feel that like someone's been talking in your ear all the time. But the audio vocal performance of Jostein is the film. Like that's the way I see it. It could have been, you can replace me, but you can't replace Jostein's audio clip, for example.
Very true, very true. So, what's the plan for the film further on? For the short?
Well, we're going to a couple more festivals. I don't know. I mean, we've been doing this for a long time. I've been making short films maybe 12, 14 years now, and what's the plan for any short film out there? You get them shown, and hopefully you can build upon them to make further movies, and I think that's really the plan for the short. We want to get it out there. We want to show that our process works. Now we've had funding for this film as well, so that's very helpful. We send in a plan. This is how we're going to do it. We show this is how we did it. This is the result, and hopefully we can build upon it to make bigger and better movies.
Yes. So if anyone wants to know more about your work as animators, and maybe even get to listen a bit about your side hustle as a hip-hop artist, where can people go?
Yeah, well, I don't know. We're
Spotify,
we're very anonymous.
I have an Instagram. He has a Spotify.
And we're establishing the banner Effekte, which is what the movie is released under. So that's going to be a mishmash of all the stuff we do. We've made an RPG game, we've made music, we've made movies, we made a lot of stuff, and that's what it's basically going to be filed under, all of it, because it's not very easy to know which shape the next project takes. So it's not really easy. I've tried maintaining these Facebook and Snapchat and whatever, and I don't manage. I don't know what goes where, and so we just keep doing stuff, and it's going to show up somewhere near you, hopefully.
Yeah, in the spirit of the movie, in the spirit of CONUNDRUM.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Olssen and Espen, for coming here. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us, and best of luck.
Thank you. And thank you for a great festival.
Thank you.